give a warm welcome for Zachary.
Are you waiting for me?
Yes, I am. Thank
All you, man.
you. Yes, I am. Is this thing on? Yes, it is. Please turn the music down. Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Kizer, and it's important that you know that because tonight I'll be on a roll, a Kizer roll. Oh my God! Yeah. Probably should not have started off with my best joke, but whatever. So yeah, the thing about my comedy is I always base it on real life events. Well, 99.5% of the time anyway, because funny things just happen to me sometimes. Like, even the people who were on stage just a few minutes ago, they even give me material while they're doing their own. Someone said something about, like, you know, the guy jumping with the alligators, and his last words were, "Fuck the alligators," which is funny because a few years ago I went down to Florida, and there was this alligator reserve, you know, big empty place, like, gators all over the place, and they had a sign that specifically said, and I'm quoting here, "Do not molest the alligators." 1,001 ways to phrase that sentence, and that's the word you go with. Well, it is Florida after all. And what Haas said about porn loving me back, well, in my experience, it's more of a hate-fucking relationship than anything else. Not much love going on. But yeah, like, here in Muncie, you hear I see a bunch of different, like, funny stories all the time. Like, a few minutes ago while we were off stage, someone mentioned, like, Muncie is like that asshole friend you're stuck with. Like, yeah, they're a jerk, but there's that one part of their personality that just draws you back in every single time. And in Muncie's case, that would be Ball State. It's like, without that, would anyone come here for anything? No. In fact, I'm surprised anyone does. Shows just how good a school this is. Go Ball State. Go Cardinals. Speaking of Ball State, I'm currently a TA for one of the TCOM professors, which is a very rewarding experience when I'm not screwing up instructions and almost screwing up the students' assignments. Yeah, for the class, like, they have to raise money for this charity she supports, and one of the students asked, like, well, how exactly do we go about raising the money? Do you have any limitations on it? It's like, so long as you don't sell your body, you're fine. If someone tried to buy my body for charity, all I would say is, you couldn't afford it, honey. Yep. Well, let's see. It's November 4th, so I have to squeeze in at least one political joke, don't I? I'm required by law. Probably the Constitution, but who cares about that old thing? I met this guy recently who said the last time he voted for a Republican was Richard Nixon. To be fair, that was probably the only honest-to-God vote Richard Nixon actually got. I would say you and everyone else, but then again, I don't think that many people voted for him. If they did, we wouldn't have had that incident at the Watergate, would we? No point in cheating if you're going to win. Back to what that teacher I was talking to you about, like, she's been my mentor for the past 3.5 years. She's guided me. I even said to her once I wasn't sure what I was going to do for a living, and she just told me point blank, "You're going to be a professor." I've heard of worse reasons to pursue a career. She believes in me, but of course, it's like, when I mess up, she believes in me a lot, but so when I mess up, she doesn't exactly take it that well. Like, once I got a C+ on a paper of hers, I got to redo it and got a much better grade, thank God. But, like, her response was, I went up to get the paper from her hand, she rolled it up and then hit me over the head with it. Like tapped me on the head like I was a dog who pissed on the carpets. Like, funny thing is, I wasn't the only student she did that to that day. Like, the guy right before me, she did the same thing. Not kidding. Speaking of which, she told me this story about this guy who was like, you never had one of those people, like, you know, they do really well in classwork, but when it comes to testing, they just bomb every single time. Well, those people exist. And one guy she had in class, like, he was always doing really well in the class. Like, everyone was going to say, like, he's a great student, he'll be a great at whatever he does. But the problem was, when it comes to testing, he just, like, especially with the GRE, like, he was getting A's in all the trial courses they were giving to him, but when it comes to the graduate requirement exam, every time he took it, his score got lower, like, each time by increments of 10. Like, I've taken it twice, and my score went up both times. But with him, it just kept sinking and sinking. It was like, just stop, just give up now. And funny thing, like the class I'm teaching, it's a TCOM class. It's interesting because we get to watch a bunch of different material, and one was a show called Playmakers, which was taken off the air by the NFL because it shows like the dark side of professional football, like, personalized football players, not real football players, but it's fairly close to reality, a little too close for the NFL, so they had it pulled after one season, and really they needed all the PR they could get that week because the very same week that was announced the show that was going to get canceled, that was the same week as Janet Jackson's little incident at the Super Bowl. Perfect timing, or not perfect timing. I'm not really sure. It's like out of the frying pan into the freezer. That was distracting. I remember last week someone mentioned they're building an artificial black hole somewhere. It's like, not sure why they would want to do that, and they brought up the fact that once someone builds it, the first thing someone's gonna do is try to have sex with it. Like, it happens every single time. It's like someone said it'll be the new pocket pussy, and I said more like the world's first pocket dimension pussy. I don't know how many people are turned on by having your junk crushed into a singularity, but whatever floats your boat. I was recently put on the dean's list for last semester. The ceremony wasn't until this semester, but I'm on it, and there was a whole ceremony in it too. It was like a graduation, but not tediously overlong. And I managed, and it was an overall success because the minute I sat back down, I checked and found that my fly was indeed not open during the ceremony. So that's a positive. What? Make sure your fly's up. It's a good cause. So Thanksgiving's a few weeks away, not that you'll notice with all the Christmas decorations up. But I heard of someone I once heard of a story, I can't remember if it was a comedy sketch or something, someone taking sliced turkey and then pasting it back together to make a full turkey. It's you could call it Turkenstein's monster. Yes, I said Turkenstein's monster, not just Turkenstein. You happy? Yes. I get it. I'm the one who gets it right. Let's see. Halloween was a while back, and I remember my very favorite Halloween costume that I've ever worn is not the one I wore here last week, but one I did when I was a kid, where I dressed up as the solar system. The whole solar system, all 9 planets. Back then there were still 9, so I'm dating myself here. But basically I took a dark blue navy blue sweater and a bunch of styrofoam balls from Hobby Lobby, cut them in half, and then painted them to match each planet, and then super glued them to my shirt. Different orbits and everything. Give me a point for creativity, considering I was 10 when I did that. Yeah, and speaking of Halloween, I went to another comedy show because shocker, I actually go to comedy clubs besides this. Sue me. And one guy was dressed up as a guy in the shower. He had a thing attached to his back, and the pole went up, and this big circular thing, and a functioning shower curtain hanging from it. So it was really tall, and he was sitting down, and not in the very back, but midway through, so there were people behind him. I'm not sure if I should feel more sorry for the people who sat behind him or the people who sat in front of him because he had the curtain open. He was fully clothed, by the way, thank God, because I was in front of him. It's just weird people dressed up as Halloween. And speaking of that comedy club, they had it's an improv group, and they did a little thing where they have to kill someone in a bizarre out of the blue way, a very imaginative way, and the other people have to guess it, and the solution they came up with was killing someone with burning tweezers. Strangely, my only question was, did you set them on fire before or after the stabbing? What? Just saying, it might make a difference. Not sure why. And on the Halloween show here, which was very fun, by the way, I was the one dressed up as Beetlejuice for people who remember me being here, and everyone said it was the best costume they've ever seen. Obviously, they didn't see my solar system one. And I think one of the girls up on stage like says like, a problem I have lately is just my armpits just smell too nice. No, wait, that wasn't here. That was at the other one's like, yo, that was the character flaw she was given. Like her armpits smell way too nice. Like everyone wants to smell them. It's like, well, just call her Peach Pits then. Yeah. One thing I loved about the heckler night we had here was like the opportunity, because like you always hear about like women going on stage and like some asshole guy in the audience yells, show us your tits, show us your tits. But like never once do I hear anyone ever shout at guys like, show us your dick. It's like, what the hell? Equal opportunity, right? It happened because I did it. Yeah. Okay, but there's not much to see. Now. And censor me just for the fun of it. Like a black bar. I've recently found out lately that on campus you can't buy candy for the cashiers while they're working their job because, and I'm quoting here, we can't buy it for them because there's a chance we may have poisoned it. Like, you can't buy them candy like in the store because you might have poisoned it in the 5 seconds you took it off the counter from sitting right in front of them. It's like that. Those were her exact words. Is like, really? Well, that's not the weirdest. That's not the weirdest thing about that. Like once I was working with this girl, and like she had like a pretty, like troublesome cough, like she was coughing like every few seconds. So I gave her a cough drop, and she said thank you. But then she felt the need to ask, "You didn't drug it, did you?" It's like it's a cough drop. It's already full of drugs. He's like, what, you think I unwrapped it, dipped it in like chloroform and then wrapped it back up again? I don't have the energy for that. I'm too lazy to do that. Speaking of drugs, like, has anyone actually known anyone who used Adderall? Because I don't. Not actively anyway. Not like consciously, but it's like that drug has one of the hardest obstacles of any drug use ever, the child-proof capsule. That's just like designed by some sadist who just loves seeing you suffer, like trying to get it open. And my time's almost up, so well, my time's almost up, and I've used about all my good humor. So if you need me, just ask for the Kizer roll.
Keep it going. That was nice, wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Okay.